Welcome to my channel. Here I continue to talk about my coloring book collection, and today let's talk about botanical books. I want to start from this beautiful book Kolorowanka or Cottages, which I still really love, and the book is perfect for polychromos pencils, but unfortunately this year I hadn't touched it. I think that after first pictures which I did here, I started to realize that maybe the rest of pictures they will look better if I do them using watercolor plus polychromos pencils, just like artist herself did. I follow her on Facebook, sometimes she posts her works, and I saw that she did the underpaint with watercolor and then the main image she colored with pencils. So maybe for me it's also the best way to continue coloring here, because pictures are really lovely. I would love to do this one and this one also. So far I have here my pencils works. As I said, it's mostly polychromos pencils, but on a couple of them I also tested budget pencils. I think that it's one of the best pumpkins which I colored so far in my coloring books. I do love both leaves and pumpkins, especially the different colors of them. The green pumpkin definitely looks quite nice and quite realistic. Lovely book, relatively easy pictures, but well, for some of them I think that it's better to do watercolor sky at least. And the other question which is usually bothering me, do I need to mask those lines, especially on flowers which is supposed to be light blue or white or light pink? On other flowers like this poppy or on the berries, I can mask those lines by using pencils, but sometimes on very light flowers I really start to think that maybe I need different approach in doing flowers. This one I tried to color with a blend of polychromos and I think Arteza and Monarch pencils, but well, polychromos are definitely my favorites here. They give so vibrant, so juicy colors, and it's a pleasure to work with them, just like they are gliding here. So many nice pictures. I hope that during spring and summer I will return to it. Lovely. This one is for the Easter. Maybe, oh, I forgot that last one. I remember that I had here the winter page, which is also quite lovely. And of course, for the snow, I prefer to use Prismacolors, so it's mix of polychromos for the wood, for the leaves and berries, and Prismacolors for the snowman. I really want to do this one. Maybe I still will have time, I don't know. Totally different book, but still very interesting. It's from Creative Heaven. They published several books by R.Soffer, and all of them have those huge pictures from different parts of the world. I have this in full bloom. The thing which I dislike is this perforation. I constantly feel like pictures will start to fall apart. Good thing is that we have the name of the picture, really very helpful, because in such pictures I always prefer to color using reference pictures. Not to copy, but to check appropriate shades. And you may know that this flower it's red, but sometimes when you look at reference pictures you may notice that shadows they are more into violet color, or that red could be also blended with orange. So it's really very helpful when you do botanical illustrations to look at the reference pictures. And here we have many interesting pages which I would love to color, but because of their size it's really difficult to color them only with pencils. It's old works. I think that they are maybe 3, maybe 4 years old, and I did all of them mostly with pencils. I remember that it was difficult for my arm, difficult for my hand, and difficult for the pencils, because with just one page I ran out of so many green colors that mostly here I color with budget pencils. I remember that it was pictures which I did using old set of Star Joy, not Star Joy Gold, but old Star Joy, and they went quite well on this paper. I still have them, so maybe it's a good reminder that I need to use them. Quite lovely, I think, but well, not quick work, and maybe, as was suggested of one of my subscribers, I also need to think about using markers first and then to work on pencils. But here I'm really afraid that if I use a lot of markers and if their colors fade with time, so pictures would change drastically. Usually I use markers for insignificant parts like background. If I use them for the main image, I'm not sure. But pictures are really lovely. I need to return to it. I don't know why I abandoned it. No, I know, because I have so many books, and with each new book you distract your attention, but pictures are really very nicely done, nice amount of details, so very botanically correct. You can easily limit size of the picture by doing frame by yourself, and yeah, just need to find a way how at least to cover the background with something apart from pencils. Very lovely book. So Ruth, if you love this style, the R.Soffer books, they are available from Amazon, from the website, and she has a variety of books. You can color book with cacti, with tropical flowers, or like this one, which is actually a blend of plants from many regions and many countries. I decided to include in this video also a book by Christl Vogl. Recently I got her books about mermaids, about elves, but this one it's more about botanical. So let's have a look at what I did here. I started with pictures where I colored with polychromasis, and even the background I did with pencils. And I wasn't happy with my first two pictures which I did here. Everything was lovely apart from background, which was either not very attractive or boring like this one. Yes, the most interesting element here of course are those fairies, other creatures, and very lovely botanical elements. But I wanted something maybe more vibrant. You know that I don't like pictures with empty backgrounds, with white background. I do it very rarely. And at the same time, I don't like to do pencil background. After my first couple of pictures, I realized that why wouldn't you use watercolor or water-soluble pencils for the background? And it was a good decision. If watercolor paints require maybe a little bit too much water for this paper, water-soluble pencils, it was really a good decision. I started to use my set of Kohinoor Montelus. They are a lovely budget set of Czech water-soluble pencils, quite vibrant with very good color range, but as I don't use water-soluble pencils frequently, they are sitting idly in their pencil case, and finally I was able to use them. Then I also started to use my Derwent Inktense for the flowers, for the leaves, and it was like giving them second life, because for such a long time, when I stopped to color books of Lizzie Mary Cullen, those magical works, and other books, my Inktense, they also were neglected. But finally I started to use them more for botanical illustrations, and I really enjoyed doing it, because I color a lot of pictures with green leaves, with plants, and I was tired of doing it only with polychromos or Prismacolors, the same color combos, the same repeated pencils. So when I started to do green part with Inktense, everything went quite well, so they now look exactly like I prefer my pictures to be: vibrant, and coloring is relatively quick. So sometimes now I do background with watercolor with tiny amount of water, and sometimes with water-soluble pencils. I think that I had another one where I totally wasn't happy. The second one which I did, sorry guys. It's like I'm missing one page. Yeah, I did this too. This one and this one. Here I did background with soft pastel, and recently I totally hate this method. I don't know why, but I lost all my skills how to do nice background with soft pastel. On this paper it looked rather dirty than attractive when I tried to add a little bit of soft pastel. So even if I really loved pictures, I abandoned it until I got this lovely idea first to limit amount of the background, those frames I added myself everywhere here. I think that in such a way it's much easier and quicker to color when you know that you don't have to cover the huge white area. Smaller area, it looks more accurate, so I think that it was a brilliant idea. And to use pencils. Now I finally don't feel guilty that nice set of Mondeluz pencils, that I don't use them, and I finally have a good progress in this book. I did, I think, 4 pictures here during this year, so for me it's a good progress. Another pictures with flower fairies I have here, and it's by Cecily Mary Baker. I hope that I pronounced it correctly. Each time I have some doubts in pronunciation of the name. And I have this set of postcards which were gifted to me by Leila. She generously sent me those postcards which she printed herself. I know that many of you asked me where I got them, where to get the PDF file. Sorry, I don't know, because I received them in this lovely pocket, and they already were printed on Strathmore toned paper. For me it was a great return to coloring on toned paper. A last such printed picture I colored maybe 4 years ago, when my printer was working, when I purchased some simple design paper, not Strathmore, but I still enjoyed how different Prismacolor pencils especially behave on toned paper. So it was a big pleasure to return coloring on toned paper. So far I have Zinnia, I have Mellow. I experimented a little bit with various art supplies. Here I even put a little bit of watercolor, but I realized that for me the best way, the way where I enjoy my coloring the most, it's simply to use Prismacolor pencils. So that's my 3 pictures which I did myself, and one which I received from Leila as a gift and as an inspiration. You can see that I have a lot of pleasure ahead of me, and of course after this Christmas snow period, somewhere in March, I will start to color those postcards. Maybe one day I will have a full set in color. They are really lovely. It's a pleasure to color on such high quality paper. And yeah, sometimes I copy something from the original works by Cecily Mary Baker. Sometimes, at least for the clothes of fairies, I try to invent something from myself. So it's really very nice postcards. And of course, botanical illustrations. It means books by Leila Duly. I decided to show you big books first, and then maybe I will do simple, quick, silent flip through of the flower year, because flower year it's in the same state as it was year ago, 2 years ago. And if I color something from Leila Duly, I mostly do it in her recent book and in Floribunda. During this summer I did one of my best pictures, I think, and it was my practice how to color different poppies. I decided to use one more realistic color palette for the traditional red poppy, and then for also existing but maybe more rare decorative poppies in yellow, orange and in purple color. Finally, I am happy how my poppies look. For many years they look too flat, like pancakes, not poppies with those tender curving petals. Finally, I managed to do nice shading in the central part, shading between layers of petals. So finally, I am very happy. Yeah, I was disappointed when this video didn't get a lot of views on YouTube, but I realized that maybe it's because the book is quite rare already. I think that Leila Duly promised to reprint the best selection of pictures from Flower Year and from Floribunda. And yeah, I think that her recent books, they maybe are more interesting to color, because here we mostly have those varieties of garden flowers, but in the recent books we have more interesting addition of some underwater creatures, a lot of tropical flowers, also birds, animals, some sea creatures. So there is bigger variety of pictures. If you select just one page, maybe those recent books, they are more interesting. And I prefer paper there a little bit more. Here paper is extremely thick, almost as cardstock. And for me the best pencil here is Prismacolor. I tried my first to color my first page here using polychromos, as I preferred to use in Flower Year, but polychromoses were a little bit too pale. If they behaved quite well for the greenery, no problems at all. Flowers looked much more vibrant, more juicy, more spectacular with Prismacolors. So that's my three finished pictures here. These two old and one new. And let's move to the next book. When I started to test paper in her recent books, I realized that I have the same experience, that for greenery I definitely prefer polychromos, but flowers sometimes look much more vibrant if I use Prismacolors. Maybe it's simply the best to combine everything. Beautiful Planet, I hadn't colored at all. It's really nice. I have no explanation why. I really like it because it has some smaller and bigger compositions. It has very interesting exotical plants. Maybe it's just not the time, because somehow I found a walk in the woods a little bit more easy to color, maybe similar to Flower Year. So it was good memories which gave me this inclination to dive into Walk in the Woods rather than Beautiful Planet. But of course I intend to color both books. Here I did several pencil tests. This one I did using Derwent Ink 10s for the first layer, because I really was worried that there are some big pictures and with pencils it could be very difficult to color the complete page with Prismacolors or with polychromoses. Sometimes it's better to have first layer done with watercolors or with ink 10s, and then to work on color accents, on contrast, on shading with pencils. So that's what I did here. And yes, I was relatively happy with the greenery, yellow flowers, which I did with polychromoses, those dandelions. Well, I think that they have to be slightly more vibrant. That's whereas for the next pictures I mostly used Prismacolors. That was the spread which I used for the bigger test. I even used such pencils like Arteza, something else from the budget range. This one was done with polychromasis, and yes, I stopped on Prismacolor as my main media. I think that this one I did with polychromasis again. When I have a lot of leaves, definitely polychromasis are much better. They have very good range of dark green colors. Maybe I only wish they have more light green colors. Sometimes they have only earth green, yellowish and May green. Sometimes I grab sap green or pale sage from Prisma and I use them together. Or something from a Starjoy Gold set where there are also nice variety of light green colors as an addition. But dark and mid-tone greens in polychromasis, they are my favorites. But for flowers, Prismacolors are better. And final work which I have here, not the easy one, but of which I am quite proud. It was my another attempt to how to color white flowers, and I love everything here, both combo with vibrant flowers and how I did leaves. Still not sure, maybe I had to outline them to mask those lines. When I colored it, I thought that it looks lovely, not very flat. I managed to add a little bit of shading to the central part of the white petals. Now I think that maybe at least on the bigger flowers, those black lines, even if they are thin, that they are still bothering me. Well, but in this book we have a lot of white flowers, so I will have a lot of practice to improve my technique. But at least after a long break, during this year I did one page here, several pictures here. For me it's already a good progress. I hope that in the next year I also will include Beautiful Planet, because it's really very lovely. It's just doesn't had yet its happy moment to go into my working area. That's my only explanation. Now let me show you quickly my flower year. If you are an old subscriber on my channel, there is nothing new. If you're new subscriber, maybe it will be interesting to look at this book, because I have it already for many years. You can tell it from the dirty cover. I decided that maybe one day, if I still manage to finish it, then I will clean cover. It's a long-suffering book where I tested everything: watercolor, ink tents, Prismacolors, polychromasis. I started to color when I had only Prismacolors, so sometimes my green leaves looked not very realistic. Then I gradually started to use other media, and last pictures looked better. If you ask me why I can't finish it, I have no ideas. Something was broken when I stopped to color one huge spread. Don't even remember where it is. Somewhere in the middle of the book. And I lost somehow my coloring module for it, and since that time I still can't return to it. Even if I love dearly almost all pictures here, some of them I still consider as one of my best finished pictures, but I don't know how to push myself to sit and to finish this one. If you have any advice, I will be happy to hear. So let's play some music, let's do a quick flip through of this book. Thanks for watching, and very soon I will return with the next series and with the next portion of my books.